I'm back. So YouTube recently suspended me by giving me a strike retroactively a little over a week ago for a video I made way back on January the 7th, I believe, in response to what happened at the nation's capital, aka the Capital Riots. The purge is real, ladies and gentlemen, and they're coming for anyone and everyone that doesn't stick to the script, especially smaller YouTube channels like mine that they feel as though they can suppress and eventually get rid of without anyone ever noticing. Although I know it's not just the smaller YouTube channels, they're also coming for the larger ones like Young Rippa, aka Eric July, Steven Crowder, as well as Tim Pool, although Tim Pool seems to be facing more so an attack from the mainstream media, in particular the Daily Caller. I love to talk about on another video. So I just want to say I greatly appreciate the support I've already gotten ever since I started doing this YouTube channel over the last 6 months. So special thank you to all my subscribers, as well as anyone who interacts with my content by liking my videos, watching my videos, as well as commenting on them and even sharing my videos. All of that goes a long way, and I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time to hear me out and to listen. All of that goes a long way, so I just want to say thank you. And while I'm on that topic of those interacting with my content, my YouTube analytics does tell me that roughly about 87% of those who do watch my content or watch my videos are not yet subscribed. So please, if you are watching my content, watching my video, and you do like them and or like the conversation or dialogue, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Again, it goes a long way with beating the algorithm that is trying to suppress any and all voices that are contrary to the official narrative. So go ahead, smash that subscribe button and also the like button as well. Greatly appreciate it. So I discovered my strike while trying to upload a video I was doing on, or that I did on Biden's airstrike in Syria. It was supposed to also be not only mocking the fact that he did the airstrike before they delivered the $2,000 stimulus check, but also to talk about his history with the military-industrial complex. And next thing I know, it just wasn't going. And I'm like, what's going on? I just posted the video the day before, no issues. Is this an issue with the app, or is it something on YouTube's? And so when looking into it, that's when I saw apparently they gave me a strike, again, retroactively, from a video I did way back on January the 7th. Now, they couldn't tell me exactly what I did or what I said in the video on the Capitol Riots, or should I say the March to Save America turning into the Capitol Riots was the title of the video. They couldn't say exactly what I did, but they used a vague response, or a vague response saying you violated the community guidelines as it pertains to spam, deceptive practices. Now, under spam and deceptive practices for the community guidelines, it does include a category for election or presidential election integrity. Now, ever since YouTube made that rule change back on December the 9th, and I've been very clear to follow to it, where they said you cannot talk about there being widespread irregularities that changed the outcome of what occurred in the election. And I'm using these words very carefully to avoid getting pulled up or pulled into that algorithm. So irregularities, I avoided that very carefully because, for one thing, I can't prove otherwise. And it's hard to prove otherwise when you have an entire system that refuses to investigate all of the allegations, and there are thousands of legal affidavits that have been put out on what's been observed or seen that just was not investigated and or countered. So it's hard to prove otherwise. So I'm not going to make any specific claims I can't specifically prove. However, luckily, before the rule change occurred, I was free to cover and discuss what was occurring as a result of a lot of these hearings and the evidence that is out there. Not picking a side or one way or the other, but just putting out there all of the information of what was transpiring, all of the allegations that were being made, and the evidence, because affidavits are evidence Go ahead, check those videos out if you haven't done so already. I'll put a little link in the YouTube video. Hopefully about this point you'll see, you can click on it later if you want to look at a lot of the different hearings, the hearings out there for yourself. Luckily those videos cannot be discussed or targeted by this new rule change, since that all occurred, all of those hearings in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania occurred before the December 9th ruling. But go ahead, check those out, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore really, but I've been very careful ever since then. If anything, in my video discussing what happened at the nation's capital, I was trying to counter some of the false reporting that was being told regarding what happened in the Capitol building and just how violent it was. But at worst, to fall under that category, at worst, I may have discussed, in order to talk about the riots, what led up to those riots. Why were the people there in the first place? Which it boiled down to millions of voters across the country, tens of millions, feeling as though there was something that happened, whatever that something was, it was not being heard or even looked into, and they were extremely frustrated as the machine just kept moving on along. And that's all I did. I didn't confirm or I didn't really validate their opinions, just stated generally what it was that led up to it. But apparently you can't even have that conversation unless if you swear up and down that the entire system is flawless, or you'll be censored. To say otherwise is tantamount of committing some kind of scam or spam, or doing some kind of illegal act, or even harming somebody, apparently. We are dangerously marching down a path where people en masse will only be able to read what they allow us to read, only see what they allow us to see. And if you can do that, you control the people. You can control what they think. Know the outcome and you can see the journey. If you know where we're being taken, then the steps and the changes and the events that are leading to that outcome become very clear. If you don't know the outcome, then those same events just appear to be completely random with no discernible pattern whatsoever. For instance, a lot of people will just look at the Dr. Seuss Foundation deciding to cease publishing of 6 specific books, of Pepe Le Pew being removed completely, or his scene being removed from a movie, Aunt Jemima being removed completely from a product, and former President Donald Trump videos completely being removed or not allowed to be shared, past and future videos at all, as being actions taken by private entities, private corporations, voluntarily, not by any left movement, as just part of them fighting racism, homophobic behavior, fighting terrorism, homegrown domestic terrorism, and it's just a free market at work. They don't see the larger movement being controlled by a particular group working in concert together in order to control the narrative and redefine the perception. For instance, the family of Dr. Seuss and the foundation controlling the publishing of his books, his material, they said that their decision to stop producing said books came only after they consulted with school teachers and academics, which, as we all know, is an institution completely controlled by the left. A left that sees practically racism, homophobia everywhere they go. This did not come from any complaint from their actual consumer. Well, I mean, schools obviously are consumers of the material, because it goes to these school libraries. Oftentimes they may have story time reading these books, but at no point did the parents or the kids of any of these books, or anyone who's been reading these books for their own leisure or pleasure, or to their kids at home, at no point was there any major complaints regarding the description of any individuals or any particular groups. This came, again, only after talking to those on the left in academia and schools, which push a lot of the liberal agenda. So they are redefining the narrative and redefining what is considered racist and or inappropriate descriptions and or depictions of individuals, even if it's just targeted for kids, depictions that are meant to be childish and silly for their target audience as racist. They redefined it so they can say, we stopped these books for racism. And that's what's going to show on the headlines of CNN, MSNBC, the Daily Mailer, or Daily Wire, all of these publications. They've now redefined what is considered racist. And apparently these childhood books that we grew up on and never had an issue with before are now defined as racist. They've redefined that. Disney firing Gina Carano over a Instagram post she made or put up. But at this point, it's been about a month. I can't believe it. And I did a video on that. Go ahead and watch that. But them firing her over that was now them and Lucasfilm and the left redefining what is acceptable memes and or posts. And they've now said the right cannot at any point in time do anything that compares current times or current treatment with Nazi Germany and what they did to the Jews. Otherwise, it is grossly inappropriate to the Jewish community. And yet, the actual star of the Mandalorian series, in which Gina Carano was just a supporting, reoccurring character on, the actual star, Pedro Pascal, on at least 2 occasions, has posted on Facebook, Instagram, and or Twitter Nazi Germany comparisons of Donald Trump and his administration and what he was doing to the migrant community, for instance, was in one pic. Even though that very picture, that meme he used to compare Donald Trump's treatment of migrant children at the border was actually a fake one, because it wasn't a picture of kids in cages, and B, they weren't even, it wasn't a picture of kids at the border, at the U.S.-Mexican border, but rather a picture of, I believe, in Yemen or Pakistan. It was a picture of kids over in the Middle East, completely different country, and they weren't even in cages, but he deceptively tried to use that to say that these are kids at the migrant border, to compare Trump to a Nazi, and that was perfectly okay. He's never gotten any reprimand, no hashtag fire Pedro Pascal. He still has a job. And then some. He actually has another project that may even delay the next season of The Mandalorian. So what they have essentially said now is that they have controlled the discourse to say it is perfectly fine for the left to label Republicans and or conservatives as Nazis, which liberal hasn't at this point. It's been done since the early 2000s with George Bush and continued even more so with Donald Trump. So who hasn't? And so it's okay for one side to do it, but the second the other side tries to do it, that's a fireable offense. It's grossly insensitive. They are trying to control the culture, control the discourse, control the engagement by saying there are certain rules for thee, but not for me. We are again heading to a point where no one will see nor hear anything that hasn't been officially approved. Anything outside of the official narrative, they can now label as hate speech, fake news, misinformation, and therefore justifies them being able to suppress and or destroy said dialogue and or information by any means necessary. You are not to be trusted with the information. You are not to be trusted to hear or read any other information other than what's been officially approved. You cannot interpret the information for yourself to decide what is right, what is false. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported my channel, for everyone watching this video and all of my other content and contributing to it, engaging in it. I mean, the whole point of me starting doing this, for one thing, I found it cathartic to just get all of my thoughts and views out there in this online journal of sorts, and also just to create dialogue, whether you identify as liberal or conservative, libertarian or progressive, to let anyone out there know who is also questioning the official narrative that is being pushed by those in the mainstream or those who are trying to pretend that they represent the majority, then let them know, hey, you're not alone. To challenge the official narrative, to quote my man, Immortal Technique, history is not the way the corporate controlled media made it look like. You have to read between the lines and free your mind. Revolution is the age of equality and the antithesis to oppression, end quote. But hey, I'm now back, so I'll get back to posting on a regular basis. But now that I'm back, I'm going to get back to posting videos on things that are happening and my thoughts on it. So be on the lookout for the new videos. I've also been notified in one of the comments for one of my videos that they're not, some of my subscribers aren't getting notified. So just take a look at your notification bell. Make sure that is on. Check that, because apparently, as Steven Crowder would say, apparently subscriptions don't mean as much to YouTube in terms of letting the subscribers know, hey, new video's out. So just be on the lookout, because there has been a lot happening in the practically 2 weeks since I've been allowed to post. Can't wait to catch myself up. But again, if you are not already subscribed, if you're part of that 87% that watch and has yet to subscribe, go ahead and smash on that subscribe button. And as just mentioned here, check that notification bell, make sure it's checked, so you can get notified of my latest content to avoid YouTube from trying to suppress it. Also, don't forget to like this video, comment on this video, and if you like it enough, go ahead and share this video to create that dialogue and conversation. We cannot let censorship win, and by interacting in the content, it goes a long way with beating the algorithm that is constantly trying to suppress it. So thank you all. I'm back. Peace.